Ntum is the Director of Public Affairs, Ghana Highway Authority. Let me just say good morning to you. Cecil, how are we doing?
I'm good. And you?
I'm doing all right.
Happy to see you again.
Happy to see you again. Happy New Year. I'm still wishing Happy New Year. I haven't seen you in the year 2025.
Yeah.
So it is good to see you. I'm very keen on getting into this conversation, but let's take a listen to Christian Yali on this matter.
Okay.
Exactly. So when you get here, you realize that it is actually a worrying situation because these persons who engaged in the act were able to peel off a part of the retaining wall, which was covering the rebars or the iron rods. And so a lot of them have been exposed. You can see this one, for instance, very weak, and it's not really, befitting of its status. And also a lot of them which have been exposed are now corroded, or they have been exposed or even vandalized. So they cannot be, strong enough to hold this wall. That is the disturbing situation here. Per assessment and per what we have come to know, we know that the concrete was very porous and was very weak, for which reason these criminals were able to easily get access to the rods or the rebars. And so when you see, for instance, this particular wall, it has become so weak that with a little more pressure, I can pull it down totally. But that is not the only situation here. When you come here, you realize that even for the metal railings, which are more or less providing some security or guarding the road from the outer to the inner side, most of the bolts and nuts that are holding or fastening them have been removed as well. So you see that yawning gap that is here. And when you go down, you realize that a lot of these have been damaged either by accidents or by human activities. And so that is the situation really at this area, at this Tantra Hills underpass, which is sparking conversation and concerns among authorities, the Ministry of Roads and Highways, as well as the Ghana Highways Authority. Several assessments have been conducted here, and this situation has been well evaluated. The word is that the underpass is still safe and sound despite these defects that you see. And then the other assurance is that once these culprits are apprehended, they will be dealt according to the law. The appeal is that members of the public should report all persons who are seen or caught engaging in this nefarious act. And even the security agencies have also been encouraged to help in protecting road infrastructure. I have been speaking to some residents around, and this is what they have been telling me.
Say na dia ho say near koso memna very serious. Me we say me can.
Free FM 92.7 Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Say Taifa. Udu we say Taifa or the same we station ho. Da dia da ho no mo a ye fa so omayi. Ghana Commercial Bank hadi omayi. Any hadi say be bia nam bia mo de nti sa de say omo hwe no mu si anokwan. Anya sa bia anajo obi nam no onim si ayi a
True, it's very dangerous. Which those people who are in charge, they should be looking at it, and then the moment they remove it, they should fix it there. Because that one, you can't prevent them. You don't know the time they come. They come in the night where you are sleeping. I've seen some before. We were in the throttle, and then all of a sudden, he hit the bar. Because they have removed both the nose there.
And that was a report there by my colleague, Christian Yali. He was actually stationed at the Tantra Hill underpass, where he showed us the effects of scrap dealers having taken bolts, nuts, railings, rods. Again, let me say that we have Cecil Ni Obodai-Wentum, Director of Public Affairs, Ghana Highway Authority, here to provide some much-needed insight into what the authority is doing, has done, and is planning to do to see an end to this canker. Cecil, this is the Tantra Hill underpass. Are you familiar with this particular area and its issues concerning the taking of the railings, the rods, and the barriers and all of that?
I am very familiar with that stretch. And just as any other Ghanaian, let me first say good morning to your cherished listeners and then all those who are following us online. I'm grateful for this opportunity and always will be grateful for an opportunity like this to join you, and then we speak about some of these issues. I am extremely worried when I see pictures like you're showing on your network, to the extent that we see a physical attempt to take out some of these rebars, like your reporter indicated, out of the section. And I also got the impression that after we issued our release, it was a follow-up to what has been put out there for people to know exactly what has happened.
Right.
Ghana Highway Authority is aware of this, and that I can tell you because an earlier technical assessment had been done.
Right.
And we had seen this. We had put in measures to cure this problem. And you know, procurement goes through processes. So I wouldn't blame them so much or blame the authority so much for not acting urgently to dealing with this problem. But the thing is, you see, as you go through the process, you would wait for the green light,
Right.
and then you said you're going to move in to cure the problem. But in our statement that was issued, we indicated that, yes, we are aware of the video that's gone viral on social media by Bus Stop Boys that had exposed the reinforcement on the retaining walls.
Right.
We indicated that. And we also indicated that earlier assessment showed some spalling over some section, some localized area of the retaining wall that has actually exposed the rebars. It did not happen because people physically went in there to do it, but it happened because maybe there was a problem, and that problem has been detected, and that's the reason why they went there and then they did all their search and all that. So in a report that I have, I can share with you, they indicated the weak and porous concrete
Okay.
on some of the sections of the retaining wall. They spoke about the severe spalling and peel off. They spoke about the exposed rebars, and they put in the necessary triggers to start the process so that it is fixed until the Bus Stop Boys got there, and then they put out that information. But the thing is that when the bad boys see some of these things, it is an opportunity for them. Once the place is exposed and they see gold, they will go in and mine. So I put it in quotes.
Right.
It's gold for them because they are unpatriotic citizens, and I have said it. We have seen and witnessed in this country the number of times people deliberately have moved in to cut. So you can see as the pictures are rolling,
That's right.
that an attempt has been made to cut the rebars. An attempt has been made to take out the iron rods. Obviously because the surface has been exposed. You understand?
That's right.
This is the challenge that we have. And I think that as a country, we must look at it again from another perspective and see how we can galvanize ourselves and see what laws we will put in place to deal with this. Because look, this is not a problem only in Ghana. It is a problem in Nigeria. It is a problem in Kenya. It is a problem across the African continent.
So in fact,
But
this is an
I have
African problem.
I have seen attempts that have been made in Kenya and other countries to place regulations and laws to ban scrap dealings.
And we'll get
in their
into that and
countries.
see whether or not we can also transplant what it is they're doing over there. Let me also welcome into the conversation Engineer Mahama Abdullah. He's a road and building consultant. Always good to see you. How are we doing?
I'm fine. Good morning.
Good morning. I haven't physically seen you in 2025, therefore, Happy New Year. And of course, we'll be getting your perspective from an engineering point of view and also get to understand really how these persons are able to swoop in and do what they do. One of the residents who was interviewed in Tantra Hill says that you just will not know when they strike. They're striking at nighttime when, you know, everybody has gone to sleep, but that will also speak to what then we do. How innovative or creative can we be to stop this? So let me come back to you then. So you say this is a gold mine for those who chance upon this. So there's an issue, they come, the rods are sticking out, they see an opportunity. What is the value of material like this really on the market? And I'm sure Engineer will also be able to give us the nitty-gritties. For many of us who can't really seem to wrap our minds around it, this just looks like a bit of junk. But clearly, there's a reason for which these persons are relentless. You just can't seem to see when they are striking. You wake up the next morning, the scraps are gone, the metal is gone.
I am happy you've put it better than I would have done it this morning. But I can tell you, you know, I'll give you a few scenarios and then you will appreciate what I'm coming to talk about. You know, Committee 23, it's a parallel road that we are working on. It's a parallel road to the motorway. As I speak to you, go and find out. That road is under construction. It's almost done. They've put all the furniture and everything. All the furniture on that stretch is gone.
When you say furniture, for those of us who don't know the terminology.
So the signage, the crash barriers, you mentioned them. All the things that you find that beautifies the road, including traffic lights, including all street lights.
So that will corroborate some of the comments that we've seen here. This one says that this is quite sad. Not only are these guys doing this, they're the reasons why most street lights in Accra and across are not functioning.
So just watch what's going on. You realize that if you see the crash barriers there, there are bolts and nuts that hold them. You see, they are all gone. They are gone. And you think that it happened as a result of an accident. No, it's a deliberate attempt on the part of unscrupulous people who go there in the middle of the night, in the dark of the night, and they go with tools to remove them. And so you can see, this is a whole structure standing on its own, and the bolts and nuts are gone. It's not only that, underground cables. You know, we have what you call the chamber covers.
Okay.
When you use some of our stretches, let's take the Nima, the Kanda Highway, for instance. There are chamber covers. These are the metallic things you see. I will share pictures with you before I leave here.
Certainly.
And then you will see what's happening. They have removed all of them. Deliberately removed all of them. Where do they end up? At the scrap yards. I woke up this morning and I saw somebody attempting to speak to the public about his scrap business and his contribution to development in this country. And I wanted to juxtapose that to that development he was trying to talk about. If you buy cars for a political party, if you buy cars because you have made so much money, you have not done anything. You are an unpatriotic citizen. And I'm saying it. Mark my words. I've said it. Yes. They think that they have money. And so they can, and I did this for this party A and party B, and I bought this, and I did this, and come on.
Are they saying that they did it through the strength of their scrap
because
dealing
of the
business
they are doing? I woke up to that message someone sent to me, and I was shocked to the bone. And I'm like, wow, we're getting nowhere. With this kind of people we have around us, we are getting nowhere. And let me tell you, you see, public infrastructure is for you and I. If I drive on a road and the road has defects and I suffer a loss, what do you think has happened? You understand? Thank you. So this is the way we need to start thinking. I personally have moved on the stretch, on our corridors, and I have arrested drivers who are overloaded beyond the limits. Personally, I have arrested them. I was here on Johnny's program the last time, and I said it personally. But what is happening to us? So the thing is, my dear, we have a problem. We need to deal with it. We need to have a national conversation around some of these things and see how best we can deal with some of these problems. Enforcement, I've always said it.
I was going
is
to come
the
to that
problem.
because the lay person listening to us this morning will say, okay, I understand the foundation of the problem.
Yes.
They might ask, how strong or weak are our enforcement regimes? Some might ask, at the Highways Authority, if you know, we all know this is going on, some might say, is it not a case of just higher scrutiny, more security, more vigilance, more surveillance? That seems to be the obvious answer. What is the drawback then? What is preventing that from
So the thing is
being
that-
effective?
So the thing is that we have a mandate, and like my brother knows, our mandate limits us. Enforcement is not part of our mandate.
Okay.
We provide the road, we maintain the road, we make sure the road is administered, its usage and everything. Beyond that, enforcement and all those things you're talking about does not fall on us. You understand?
Right.
So if somebody goes to, as it were, vandalize a furniture on our road, I cannot go and arrest the person. He cannot go and arrest the person. You understand? There are institutions and authorities that are mandated to carry out that business. But people run into our traffic lights, they run into our crash barriers, they get away with it. Sometimes, phew, they're gone. We are unable to even. So I have said time without number. We have seen vandalism on our signboards, our signages. We have seen vandalism on transmission lines. We have seen vandalism on fiber optic cables. I don't work with fiber optic cables, but not too long ago, I participated in a forum organized by the Telecoms Chamber. And we are told the number of fiber optic cables that have been cut.
So the fiber optic cables are also not safe. They are also being...
We are not safe. People are unbolting our transmission lines. They are unbolting our bolts and nuts on our bridges. I can share an example with you. You see the bridge that connects the abattoir to Lashibi?
Yes.
There was a time our team of engineers went there to assess the bridge because people were complaining. They drive on it and it's wobbling.
Yes, I can attest to that.
They went there and more than 500 bolts and nuts off.
Over 500, you say?
More than 500. The same on the Lakpakplak bridge, on the motorway, same. You know, there's a tunnel that the cattle use. Now vehicles even use that place. We went there, we did an assessment, we noticed that even more than 700 bolts and nuts were all gone. And you want to ask, at what time of the day did this happen? And so we decided that, okay, let's go there with another strategy and then see how we can weld the bolts and nuts together. They are still going. The welded bolts and nuts are still going.
As in, they are still being able to take them off.
They go, they cut. My dear, I'm telling you. So, you see now the call to action. And if you read the statement that we issued, we indicated that we condemn this act of vandalism. And we are reminding the public that tampering with public infrastructure is criminal offense, punishable by law. And we even stated the Road Traffic Regulations 2012 LI 2180, section 114, subsection 4B. I can read it because I have the law with me here. And we, in our statement again, we urged all residents and commuters, Ghanaian citizens, to be vigilant and report any of such suspicious activities around any public infrastructure, because it happens, my dear. You see, sometimes I'm happy he's here.
Yes, and I'm coming to you, Engineer Muhammad.
I'll tell you before you introduce him to speak. You know, most of our traffic lights that do not function, people think that, oh, Bob is dead, and then they place the blame on us. I'm telling you, you have no idea. I spoke about the chamber covers earlier.
That's right.
From here, I can volunteer to take a drive with you, and I'll take you to the motorway. You see the phase 2 project that is undergoing, the overpass from the harbour connecting to Ashaima. Go and see, all the chamber covers were removed, more than 100 of them. You see the chamber covers, some of them are circular, some are squarish. They removed all of them. They are metal covers that takes you beneath the ground, where there are cables that connect to traffic lights, connect to electricity, utility chamber. They've cut all the cables. So how do we solve this problem? There must be definitely an engineering solution to this problem. And the engineering solution, say, oh, more CCTV cameras, more, we need surveillance, we need police patrol, I am happy we're talking about 24-hour economy. We must now begin to think very deep into that concept and see how we can now project that to translate into addressing some of these problems we're talking about. Surveillance, it can be 24 hours. You don't need a human being to be there. You only need me or him to sit in a control room and monitor what is going on. And then from that point, you can tell that so and so is up to something. And what do? You trigger a response. You trigger an alert. And then maybe somebody goes there quickly to address the situation. So this is the challenge that we have, my dear.
Cecil, thank you for your opening thoughts and also putting some more flesh on the bones. Engineer, from an engineering perspective, what are the most significant risks posed by scrap dealers to our roads and bridges? I think Cecil has put some of that on the fore, but what are some of the things we're not even averting our minds to? Because this is a serious issue.
Well, I'll say good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers. So, good morning. It's virtually said everything. Even though you're thinking it's not speaking about engineering, he said everything. The scrap dealers are actually a danger to the society. When you get to Hachu right now, in fact, I was just coming from Domi, and I got to a certain vehicular slab. We say slab, vehicular slab, means that there are covers that have been slabbed with metals so that it can ease the silting. Now, those 4 chambers have all been removed.
Wow.
So if you are not vigilant and you are not competent with the area. Especially in the evenings.
In fact, I live in Agbogba, so I know what you are talking about. If you don't open your eyes wide or you chance upon some parts in the night, you could be found wanting.
Yes, and it's that dangerous. And if you look at the circular and the rectangular slabs, the metal ones, they are heavy because we are anticipating a load of vehicles traversing the so they are not the normal, maybe 2 cm, 3 cm. They are very heavy. And the scrap dealer feel like that's the cash cow, that's a goal, because if you get to one of those slabs and it's going to weigh at their scrap yard, that's a fortune for the scrap dealer. And so, like he said, we have actually gone. In fact, when we did the Ebru Road, for instance, 2006, we realized that even during construction, these scrap dealers were going in on both all the crash barriers. And this crash barrier is supposed to ward off or to prevent vehicles from going into the valleys. You see, as we are doing a road construction, if you go beyond 1.5 meters, in a state that you have to bring in crash barriers so that in case of any car veering off, those crash barriers are there to save. If you look at the Pedua Silos, for instance, from Ayumensa to Pedua Silos, about 4 kilometers. We did the concrete and we did the crash barrier so that pedestrians can easily move there when they are exercising during the weekends.
That's right.
The boats are all gone. So before, and DHA has gone in over and over to go and maintain, to redo, to tag. Now, that's the best solution that Ghanaian engineers can do. Because if you go from the bolting to the tagging or the welding, I don't see what you can do again. So these guys go in and on tag, They usually go with these welding machines.
What time of the day
You wouldn't know.
do they
It's
go?
only the
Because this is a serious operation. I mean, you say this is heavy metals, they're having to cut and all of that.
Yes.
Is this really on the blind side of our security personnel?
The last time that with the same stretch, I mentioned Pedrias a lot in the evening, in the afternoon. I think a citizen he suspected the guys who were also on a pole, and then he confronted them, only for him to know that they were actually not coming from GHA or ECG. During the day, they were there removing the cables of the street light. You see, if you are coming from Ebri and you look at the Ayimensa from the top, the escarpment, it looks so beautiful on the light on because of how the road is meandering. But all of them are gone.
Interestingly, Engineer, I've just gotten this comment on our Facebook. They said some of them are okay. So this one is okay. It's on our Facebook. Some of them are probably in your institution, if not posed as one. I'm trying to read this clearly because sometimes we see them dressed as you. Who are you referring to? Come back and comment. GHA. Okay. So I think they think you are they say these people are dressed GHA. Because sometimes we see them dressed as you, working on those things, and I'm not sure we would know if they are you or they are criminals. So let me...
No official of the Ghana Highway Authority will dress and move in the middle of the night to undertake such nefarious activity.
Commentator, do you have further particulars?
I want to underline that.
Okay. All right. We'll get more of the comments and we can also respond to that. Do keep them coming. Engineer, please.
And they have, DHA has a very designated, their vest.
Yeah.
You know it, right? But see, Ghanaians are maybe misinterpreting or safety words as maybe people come. They are sold on the street.
On the open market.
I see what Oboda was saying with regards to the vigilance. I made a statement just yesterday on your 3 News that after the accidents occur on our roads, the first point of call is the police. And they have a major role to play. You see, this spiral that happened on the Taifa stretch, I said that the kind of concrete that was used there, C40 or 40 MPa, you can even go and stand there with a compressor. You can't chisel it. So there have been series of accidents that are witnessed in that area. Cars crashing into that particular spot and other areas on this corridor. And see, when it happens like that, obviously the cover of the concrete is just about 4 cm. Because we actually, if you are doing the construction around the sea area, you need to get a certain cover that will prevent the ingress of intrusion of salt because of the humidity.
Got it.
To aid the corrosion. So when you put the cover up of 4 cm for a vehicular one, it's ideal. But I've seen a lot of impact of vehicles on that stretch of the road. Now, when most of the vehicles get crashed on these furnitures, the first point of call is the police. Obviously, you see them there. But over the past 7 years, I've been clamoring for this thing. The police would go in some, would finish testing the vehicles, and they release the cars to go. Meanwhile, the furniture, that is the street light, the traffic light, the other road furnitures are supposed to be reinstated. And the cars are insured. So when the police are done with the first test, they shouldn't release the cars, but trigger the second stage where they will have to involve either the urban routes or the Ghana Highway Authority at the local assembly within which the accident occurred. So then the local assembly will have the engineers who will come in, whether you have the GHA or the urban roads or the feeder roads, to now come and assess the extent of damage and surcharge the person whose car might have caused the damage. But in fact, I had a case with a policeman on the Suhum stretch some time back, and his brother ran into the crash by vandalizing 8 of the crash barriers. When they was under construction, so obviously the contractor said that you have to pay because I've not been paid for the works I'm doing. The GHA will now come and value and do the payment. The policeman asked us that it's not a government property. Why are we charging an individual to come and pay? Meanwhile, the cars are insured. Third-party insurance. It's not the person, but the third party. Any other feature, any other edifice that the car might crash in, had to be valued. I said, you see our traffic light. You go to the Pukwase Awoshi Road, and all the traffic lights are gone. Meanwhile, the police were there. Mostly when the cars get into this spot, they assess it and they release the cars. So as Obada was saying, the police have a role to play because mostly they are the first point of call when these accidents occur. They should not release those cars. And like this one, for instance, this area, I've seen not less than 10 accidents because I traverse on this road every single day from Monday to Saturday because of the work I do in the Eastern region. So when I saw this, I saw for the Vera video, it was understandable. I pardon the guys who used the words like, oh, the scrap dealer just went in there to be chiseling. You can't chisel that concrete. No matter the effort you try to put into C40 concrete about 3 times that of this building.
Right.
You understand? So even with the compressor, you would need days to be able to even chisel just about a meter of that crash barrier. But the statement just spot on. Once the space has been exposed, then the thievery will now be enhanced by those guys because, like you said, it's a cash cow.
Yes, gold mine.
They will go in and go in. But I think our regulation has to be tightened, and then so that when Ghanaians become a bit vigilant and they're able to report these ones, I think domestic crimes should maybe differ from crimes that may cause a lot of havoc. Because you see, if you remove the bolts on the bridge, and then a VIP bus unfortunately gets stuck there or involved in an accident there, the number of persons who are going to be injured or fatalities will be more than maybe 50.
That will perish.
That's right.
Like maybe my house, we come and just remove my slab or something in my house, and then so I'm just these are for the lawyers or the judges. They should be able to come out with something because this thing. In fact, yesterday when I was on one of the star stations talking about the same thing. Now the boys move around. Some of the construction side that we are doing fence wall. I mean, you have actually hoarded your place. When you have the place becomes a bit quiet, they jump in and cut your iron rod that you're actually doing for a construction, maybe columns and slabs. And when they cut like that, you can't continue because you need a starter bar.
Right.
To be able to lap the iron rod. Now, when the person go and cut at grade, you would have to now come and excavate the whole column, remove it, and restart. Your concrete is gone, the labor is gone, the iron rods are gone. And the client doesn't care. You are the one who's supposed to ensure that you finish his construction for you.
That's right.
Unless, of course, the client has to provide security based on the terms and conditions that you had in the contract. It is alarming. And like you said,
Engineer Mahama says.
The light. You just go in like the Achimota Abofu stretch now. One of the choke is just removed. They move under and draw all the cable. The lights are fairly new.
And so for us lay persons, we then think, like Cecil says, that it's a bulb issue or it's just a matter of a switch. But really, we're getting inside that it's not even the bulb. No. It's much deeper than that.
Yes. The last time, the one we checked from Achimota police station towards the Dimples roundabout towards Akwetema. The lights were there, the switch were all there. They just removed the choke area and they drawn all the cables.
Yes. Underground.
Because
they've gone through the chamber cover. They've taken the chamber cover. They get in the underground and cut all the cables. And the same they have done to our telecoms space as well. Just as I indicated.
They are quite expensive.
Very. Fiber optic cables they've cut.
And when they get those cables, where are they taking them to?
They are even doing this to ECG. I'm surprised that we don't hear much of these, stories coming out. But I can bet you, it's just that they can't go high tension, and then because that one power is running through. Yeah. So, but they unbolt the transmission joints and then the holders, and they take it out. I'm even told that they pour acid. They come in the middle of the night, they pour acid. I don't know whether it's nitric acid or sulfuric acid or whichever, but they attempt, and it takes time, it wears off.
Yeah, it wears off. Yeah,
and then corrodes, and then they come and cut, and then away they go with it. So you might think that these guys are not intelligent, but they are looking at the economics of their business and what they get, the commercial gains that come to them. and they are doing all these things. But you see, what I think can solve our problem is street lighting. Another thing I think can also solve this problem is the surveillance cameras that we can also have that can detect or trigger motion systems. So even when a fly moves, it gives you a trigger, and then you report to the various authorities that matter, and then you see how quick they can move in to arrest the situation. And one thing that I also recommended on a sister station yesterday when I was speaking is for us to step up our stakeholder engagement activities and also engage the local authorities, the assemblies, the various MMDCs, and see how we can take this message to them. You understand? Because we already have problems, especially with our network, trunk road network. We have problems regarding our right of way, and how people are even moving in and doing all sorts of things. We have problems already, and we're trying to see how we can engage them. So when some of these things come in, look, as I speak to you, the motorway is under construction.
Indeed.
It's under construction. Naturally, the speed on the motorway will have to reduce. He knows it. He's an engineer, so he knows it better than I will even put it. So initially, those days when we ran, they say 100 kilometers per hour. You can't do 100 kilometers even before the construction started on the motorway. It got to a point we needed to recalibrate the speed on the motorway. You can't do 100 kilometers per hour. You get to some sections before the Shaiman Junction, it's a whole bus stop. Both the Tema bound and Accra bound. You have bus stops. Beyond that, you have other stops that people even attempt to stop vehicles coming for pedestrians to cross.
That's right.
The motorway.
That's
But
right.
it was
Tell me I'm lying.
It only fenced some years back, because I used to see the Shaiman.
You see people trying to flag you down because they want to cross and get their
Exactly.
passengers.
Get their passengers on the motorway. That used to be an express highway. It is no longer what it is. It has lost that integrity. But it has its functional integrity intact because it is still functional.
Yeah.
It probably have lost its structural integrity, but it's functional because we are still using the motorway until the full construction work is done and we see the 10 lanes, 5 here, 5 there, Accra bound, Tema bound. As it is now, you can't do 100 kilometers. So it's got to be recalibrated. But what do we see? We have seen encroachment on both sides
That's right.
of the 19-kilometer stretch of the express highway. And that is a challenge to all of us. So how many times haven't you people reported, TV3, that all the street lights on the motorway
In fact, gone,
are not
off,
functional?
not functional, very scary.
And you think that it is not deliberate. It is. Just as I said, there are chamber covers that goes underground to connect all the street lights. They've cut all the wires. They've cut the cables. They've cut all of them.
Now, Cecil, I want to ask about community vigilance or community surveillance. As you can see, some of our commentators on Facebook and also on YouTube, shout out to you if you're watching us on YouTube as well, are mentioning seeing persons seemingly working on roads and lights, wearing uniforms. Can you address that for us? Maybe you see a group of individuals who are carrying out some kind of work. What should you be looking out for? Should you be asking questions? Should you be suspicious of everybody that's wearing high vis, seemingly involved in some kind of, serious work? How do you distinguish?
Vigilantism is a call to action. And it's done in other countries, especially in Europe. I'm sure you have heard a lot of stories. They say, Obroni Wade said, the slightest move about you, the next thing is a phone call to the nearest police station, and you are there. You are gone. They will pick you up immediately.
Is that what we need to be doing? You see something, say something.
See something, I am happy. That's going to be our hashtag. And I'm going to rally round it, and I will use this opportunity to announce a very hot line that we have put in place. It's a WhatsApp line. It's a 055 162 2244. 055 162 2244. See something, say something. Just send a message to this number. 055 162 2244.
Can they also attach any pictures and videos? Everything you can.
Brilliant. I'm even interested in that. Brilliant video. Just send it to me. This is coming to Ghana Highway Authority.
Sure.
And we'll pick it up from there. You will see what's going to happen. We need a national cry to deal with some of these issues. Like I said, Kenya placed a ban on some of these activities so that they can regulate the space.
So when you say a ban, is it that they go to the scrap yards and...
So imports, exports, buying, selling, ban complete in 2023. Find out. You can Google. 2022, 2023. Complete ban on the movement. You know what? I'm told it's even terrible in Nigeria. Ghana is even... Kenya, Tanzania. You mentioned those countries neighboring themselves. Terrible. Nigeria is even worse, I'm told. So what has become so attractive for people to move in that space? They cut signboards, they cut signages that tells you that slow down your speed. They cut it. We put our road signs. It goes. Not too long ago, somebody was seen carrying...
Yes, from information sign.
Yes, on the Achimota stretch. Yes. They confronted him and said, oh, now, the way he was even talking should tell you that, one, he's ignorant, he's an ignoramus. Two, he is somebody who doesn't even understand what he's doing. But all he knows is the commercial benefits he's going to get. So he's just going to scrap it and sell it. But this call must also go to the scrap dealers, the very destination point where people bring chamber covers. My brother described it. You know how heavy that thing is? So heavy, you need about 10 people to carry one chamber cover. And yet, they are able to carry it.
Engineer, let me bring you into this. How then, from the point of view of, actually going to these scrap yards, going to these areas where we know these young men are dealing in scrap parts. If you ask me, I can even show you right now. I can take you there. Take you right there. It's happening. It's not a secret. You can see them gathered in one area, dealing in scraps. How do we hit that source and eradicate this canker? Is it possible? Because the authorities, I'm sure, are very aware. If I know where to find them, certainly Ghana Police and other relevant bodies are aware of their existence.
I'm sure that the end place, that is the end where they go to deposit them at the scrap yard. We should have some maybe designated security personnel when they are doing the sorting of those materials, because obviously when you see a crash bar, you will know. When you see a road signage, you will know. And then the security services who will be there may have to be there, maybe some of the engineers from maybe Overhead's unit, for at least for a while, to be able to assess the scraps that are brought into the scrap yards. And then once they are able to see ABC from particular cars, they have to flag those cars, and then the drivers will have the whole to be asked. Apart from that, you see, just like what you were trying to say about the road furniture, there's something I've noticed. In fact, we have been sending those information to the Director of Contract at the GHA.
Oh, okay.
Where it has become another cliche where vehicles are repaired on our highways. Aside the crash barrier or the TV of this scrap, our asphalts do not span their lifetime. Now, when you do the road asphalt new construction, within a matter of maybe 2-3 years, a TFL will come lambasting the contractor that the roads have not actually lived the design lifespan. In fact, I've seen some vehicles on the stretch here where if an engine breaks down, the car breaks down, they repair the engine right on the spot.
Yes.
Remove the engine, all the diesel is stringing on, pour on the road. And you know that the bitumen is one of the end products of gasoline. And so when the bitumen spreads onto the asphalt, reaction takes place. It loses the viscosity and then it becomes brittle. And so aside the scrap dealers moving in to remove our information signs, the warning signs, the vehicular slabs, the other drivers too are not leaving our roads at peace.
So we have to desist from that. You break down and the mechanic comes and does it.
System have to be enhanced, possibly from the Ghana authority, because I think about 2019 when they wanted to bring this spot fines for when your car gets damaged on the road, you have to come and tow, and then you pay a certain fine for towing. Because if you go on the Accra Kumasi Strait, especially let's just take Accra.
But Ghanaians,
of course,
spoke against it.
Of course, I think
what happened?
The communication
didn't go down.
Didn't go down well. And then it was supposed to be just about 20 cities for when you're going to renew your DVLA license or something.
It was a total rejection on the part of Ghanaians. And we probably did not, but like I understand, from where you're speaking from, that they communicate. Because at that time, I was also active behind the console like you. And we probably did not communicate it well to the people to understand. We were only thinking of my brother just making so much money, or the only person being identified, as it were, to champion that cause. And we looked at it from that perspective. But it would have been a very...
It has to come again.
In fact, it's never too late to reintroduce that conversation, because, I'm learning a lot this morning, and I thought I was, abreast at least with this subject matter. But even to learn that some of the things we do unconsciously, you've broken down, instead of getting told away, your mechanic says, let me just quickly do something. All manner of chemicals are, going on the road and so on and so forth. We're also damaging the roads in that way. Not so much.
The heavy vehicular, these trailers, bus, coastal buses. In fact, it's so rampant on the Accra Kumasi stretch now. They get stuck on the road, they leave it there. They come to Kukumpe or Abusoka to come and buy the engine parts, go there, repair. In fact, last month, I had to stop by around China Mall, bring in a police to come and tow a truck, and the driver was asked to pay. And we ensured that there was a tanker was brought to the site, and he washed the road. I insisted that he washed, because he was actually bringing out leachate. This is mango, spore. Mango is very acidic. And it was discharging the mango fluid as well as the diesel and then the grease onto the road. Look at the combination. Going onto the same asphalt, which is an end product of the gasoline. So we were brought in Amasaman police, and they made sure that they washed the road before the driver was asked to leave.
I will share a story with you before I leave. The former IGP, Dampari. But before I even come to that story, you see the Road Traffic Regulations Act 2012, LI 2187. If you go to section 111, it talks about discharge of oil and other substances on the road, like he's saying. An owner, and permit me to read, an owner or a person in charge of a motor vehicle shall take precautions to ensure that the motor vehicle does not discharge combustion products, steam, lubricating oil, or other substances on the road. It goes on to say, a person who contravenes sub-regulation 1 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not less than 25 penalty units and not more than 50 penalty units, or to a term of imprisonment of not more than 3 months, or to both. It goes on to talk about placing injurious substances on our road. Just yesterday, I was driving with a friend of mine who mentioned to me that these guys who transport concrete on our roads, are you people aware that They destroy our road in a way. I said, oh, I'm aware. You see the mobile concrete mixers that we see on our road. You know, sometimes
They'll drop it, it hardens, then it's a protrusion on the road.
Exactly. Within a short period, it's hardened.
Yes.
It has compromised the integrity of the surface of the road.
Riding quality.
The riding quality, like he has said.
Then you see us dodging, almost crashing
Or
into
even
each
sometimes
other.
you run through it because there are chippings in it.
Yes.
That can even bust your
Your
tire.
tie.
And what are we doing? I am not supposed to enforce this. You move on, it talks about placing of construction materials and equipment on the road. Don't you see this all the time?
Indeed.
Go through cantonments, go through Laboni, go through Nyanibare Estates, go through, I'm mentioning the places, Ridge. Go and see the sky-rise buildings coming up. What do we see? They virtually take half of the road because their construction equipment are in the middle of the road. And they are constructing. I get there and I'm so mad because I understand what this means. And I get there at airports. Mention, are we a serious people? I'm asking you, are we a serious people?
How successful have collaborative efforts been between GHA and enforcement personnel?
So my question needs to be answered. Maybe not by you, because I know you are doing the questioning. Are we a serious people? The thing is that, are you telling me that the enforcers of the law, they are not aware? They are all aware. Look, I'm telling you this today. I was driving around the Switchback Road, and I got to a point where I saw, this is IGP, former IGP Dampari. So I stopped, parked my vehicle, walked to him. Do you know what? He had stopped a whole truck that was pruning some of those trees along the Switchback Road because of the height. You understand? Of the truck, because it's loaded, and was just pruning the trees, and it had just covered the stretch of the road. So he managed to bypass them, stopped in front of them, and he was alone for more than 25 minutes. He was making calls to his own office for reinforcement. It never happened. And I'm saying this on authority because I got there and I stayed with him for the period that he was doing that. And I was like, wow, if this is the IGP who is even placing calls for reinforcement.
Then what about New Bodai? Time check, it is some 4 minutes past the hour of 9. We're still having a big conversation. Our title this morning is Our Roads and Scrap Dealers. I'm here with Cecil Niobodai, Wentum, Director of Public Affairs at the Ghana Highways Authority. We're also joined by Engineer Maham Abdullahi, a road and building consultant, also no stranger to our 3FM Sunrise platform. So far this morning, we've learned a lot about what the dangers are when railings, crash barriers, bolts and nuts are not protected on our roads. In fact, we're also learning that even the repair of some of our heavy-duty vehicles causes damage to our roads. We've got a lot of insights from Cecil as well this morning. Cecil, this one I believe is directed at you. And do keep your comments coming. We're on for another 10 minutes and then we'll wrap up on this conversation. We can get a recapping of the solutions as preferred by both gentlemen. Now, this one on Facebook, it's from William Kojo Adams. He says, let the surveillance cameras already installed work, or let's install more surveillance cameras linked to the various security institutions' data centers. I think we mentioned that at the top of the conversation. He says, which has the capability of triggering such occurrences. William says, I believe investing and making use of technology can stop this problem easily. This can also create jobs for the youth. Let's stop dilly-dallying. I think we are actually highlighted the need for more surveillance. And Cecil says, let's tap into the 24-hour economy. Let's hasten our steps and actually put an end to this canker. Cecil, I'll let you have the final word on this, but Engineer Mahama, for, again, the average person listening to us this morning, reiterate for us why this simply cannot continue, and your, again, maybe top 3 solutions to solving this very problem. We're not going to end the conversation today. We're hoping to keep it going because we cannot continue to do this. At some point, in fact, the whole road will be taken. I don't know, we'll wake up and how I'll get to work unless I use, I don't know, helicopter, SkyTrain, who knows? Engineer, let's hear you, please.
Let me just add one topic for discussion, maybe subsequent discussion, maybe.
Surely.
I've said it that whenever there's the demonstration, the demonstrators go onto our roads and then they lit all combustible material, they put the tires on the road.
That's right.
The wood and other things. I think nobody is preventing anybody from demonstrating. But when you are demonstrating and you're going to cause financial loss to the state, damage to public property, you may have to be fined. So when the police go in to arrest persons who are demonstrating, especially those who are violating, maybe they are not aware, but immediately you put a tie on an asphalt. Have you noticed wherever a car has bent on the road before, go to that said location after 6 months and see whether you don't see potholes in those locations. In fact, on the bridge stretch, when you are descending to a village called Nkukrum, I saw 2 vehicles burning at some location. We were going for our walk. And I told my friends that in about 6 months' time, we should come and have a look at this same set. And these are the major potholes on that stretch of the road. So, to the police or to Ghanaians, you can demonstrate anytime you want to express your views or whatever. But do not go onto our roads and then put... In fact, some people are demonstrating for better roads in their community. Ironically, where they are standing, they put on the tires there and bend them on the road. So that must be avoided, because 6 months on or later, that place that you have bent the tire becomes a source of the major potholes on the corridor. And then, like we said, we have to be very careful and be vigilant and make sure that these scrap dealers within our communities are nipped in the bud. Because the cost of constructing a kilometer of a road, including the furniture, which is the scratch barrier, the boards, the lights, the street light, the traffic light, is in the region of about 3.5 million USD
dollars for a kilometer.
For a kilometer.
It's not cheap.
No, just a kilometer. That is all things being equal. When you're not doing even massive cutting and massive filling. You are maybe ideally the road is fairly okay, and you are just going to do your sub base, you do your mechanical stabilization, you come and do your chemical stabilization, you come with your crash bar and crash rock, and then as you do your binder wearing and you go your way with your furniture. That is in the region of about 3.4 million USD.
So in essence, we are really doing ourselves.
Yes. So minus the furniture he's talked about, you're also looking at about 1.5 million to $2 million. When the furniture adds up, it's the 3-point-something million he's talking about for just a kilometer of road.
Just
if
a kilometer.
I wouldn't have come here. I would have allowed him to be here to speak to you. But I think he's made my work very simple for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it is worrying.
Wow.
It is.
All of this is tied to you and I's well-being. Those monies we need for serious development. And if we go and perpetrate these crimes, those monies have to be taken again from the same coffers that are to take care of you and I.
One other thing. Oboda gave the hotline.
Yes.
You see a lot of roads that people go in and tip gravel or sand on the carriageway, half of the road. In fact, in my area, for you see them there, and there's no reflectors. In fact, when they are tipping the material, they tip gravel or sand part of the carriageway in the night. A lot of people
don't know.
are running over, and then so those who are seeing those things on the road, in fact, from the Tichamante to Nsawam to Suhum stretch, they are there. In fact, I just came back on Sunday. They are just there. And a lot of other places that you can report to Mr. Oboda and his team.
Yes, and I've kept that number. I'll remind us in the mornings as well to see something, say something. This is very dear to my heart. I'll be plugging it.
Hashtag for us.
Absolutely.
See something, say
Say
something.
something.
And send me pictures, send me videos.
Absolutely.
But trigger the discussion for the tow trucks.
All right.
Back.
We'll talk about
But
that
there have been a
indeed.
lot of station vehicles that people have run into them. If you are to see, you are in Accra, you are an Accra lady, so fine. We are in the hinterland. I've been about 19 years on the roads.
Okay.
From here to Kufudia to Hum and Kumasi. Every now and then, some of them are not reported.
Yeah.
This is worrying.
A saloon car will crash in, we don't hear, but you hear the big ones.
That's right.
But if you look at the number of times that individual, maybe 1 or 2 persons are running into station vehicles on our roads, it's alarming.
Yeah.
So, in fact, there was a day I got to around a village called Futu. And they have packed these trailers, these Burkinabe trailers, about 3 of them.
Yeah.
In fact, half of the carriage have been taken by them. When I started to tell them to move this, they actually said they didn't understand the English. But when I said the police, the one of them started talking. I mean, then he moved the truck off the carriage because I nearly crashed into the
Goodness.
station vehicle myself around 6:30 p.m. So I said, no, if I'm lucky to be avoided, escaped, I wouldn't just drive. So I went to make a U-turn, came back and insisted that they move the trucks from there. And they did before I was able to just move on my road.
Engineer, thank you so much for your perspectives. Always a pleasure to learn from you. You're doing the Lord's work. Cecil, I'll give you the final word on this.
Yeah, I want to use this opportunity to assure the public that the underpass under question remains structurally sound. Structurally sound.
In fact, in that report, Christian Yali reiterated
Yes.
that point.
And safe for all users. There's no cause for alarm. There's no need for panic. Because our engineers have done the assessment, and I'm happy Engineer Mahama Abdullah is here and he's aware of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They have done their... So it's a localized area that they have identified. They have moved in. They have done their BOQs, as they call it. And they will move in to rectify the situation as soon as practicable. And they have been there. I have seen them. I have been there with them. And I know what's going on.
Certainly.
So definitely, Ghanaians must be rest assured. But like he said, some surface area was exposed as a result of some deterioration and gave access to the unscrupulous people to now move in and then chisel and make an attempt to harvest the rebus. And he's laughing.
Cocoa season.
The harvest he's talking about.
Bumper harvest. When they saw that exposed rod,
Yes, and harvest the rebus.
they said, I pick it.
But as it is now, I mean, our engineers will move in, they know what to do. The contractors will know what to do. And then,
It's a very minor.
yeah, they will replace all those harvested rebus or reinforced, you know, and then we move on. But
Yes.
that's the thing. But vigilantism, me, that is my campaign. We must all be vigilant.
We are all involved.
We must all, because you see, road safety is a shared responsibility.
Indeed.
In fact, it's a multifaceted approach to dealing with all kinds. Me, I drive and I see a tree. Just, okay, I'm saying this, and my people will come after me.
Hey, Cecil.
It's not a big deal.
Are you
See,
sure?
The Akwaje interchange. I've
Yes.
seen some plants growing on that tree.
I see.
On that, we need to harvest it. We need to harvest that plant. I'm saying
Absolutely.
it. And there are reasons for which all these things happen. So we work with our divisional units, road safety, mention the maintenance, and I deal with them a lot because they are the people who feed me. Other than that, I won't sit here and be talking like one of them. You understand? They feed me, and based on that, yes,
Yeah, one of them now.
and based on that, we
Gentlemen.
come out and then talk to you people. So, my
Thank
dear,
you.
I want to thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you as well for sharing your
thank you
insights
to
with
you,
us. I think
yes.
we've gotten some much needed answers that we were all clamoring for. We won't let this conversation die. It is 0551 622 44. I'll plug that in again before we leave. Many thanks to Cecil Obodai, Ni Obodai Wintum.
See something.
Say something. Also to engineer Mahama Abdullah Road and building consultant. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Get better, man.